Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at this new case from GameMax. It's called the Precision. It's tempered glass, it's RGB, it's a full tower, and it's very heavy. So let's have a look. This is the GameMax Precision. It's big, it's heavy, and it's not cheap at a recommended retail price of £159.99, but it's packed full of features. The Precision will take up to an E-ATX motherboard, and it's a whopping 243mm in width by 567 in depth and 592mm in height. Now when you get it out of the box, it's nice to see it's well protected by these high quality foam inserts. Now the front panel has this brushed aluminium look to it with quite a prominent GameMax logo printed on the front. And there's also two 5¼ inch bays up top. Now personally these really aren't my cup of tea, but if you still got use for them, there they are. Now there's a rainbow LED lighting strip down the side, which I've got to say I think looks really good. Now further around the side we can see some vents for air to flow into the front of the case. Moving up onto the top we find the usual power and reset buttons with the hard drive LED, a button to control the LED lighting effects, headphone and microphone jacks, two USB 2 and two USB 3 ports, and two fan control sliders, each with three settings for your fans: low, off or high. Along the length of the top is another rainbow LED strip, and the side is rounded off down the opposite side, giving it a really sleek look. The opposite side to that having some more vents for airflow into the top of the case. Looking at the backside panel, it's made of steel and held on with two captive thumb screws so you don't lose them like I always seem to do. On that back panel itself we can see even more vents for airflow, with a large portion of the case having these cutouts. The inside of these are covered with a very high quality magnetic dust filter. Now having removed that, we find the supplied fan and RGB controller, which is pre-attached to the chassis with a velcro strip. There is a huge amount of room here, which if like me you like to use cable extensions, it's a real godsend. There are plenty of tie down points to get your cables managed properly, including some integrated velcro straps, which are a very welcome addition. Also included here is a removable panel to hold up to three 2.5 inch drives. Now looking to the rear of the case, we see even more vents again up the side, and the PSU is mounted at the bottom. There are 10 horizontally mounted and 2 vertically mounted PCI covers, all of which are removable and reusable. Further up we find a height adjustable 120mm or 140mm fan and radiator mount, alongside the usual I/O ports. What's unusual here is this little hood, which if you're wondering what this is, it holds a couple of low powered LEDs, which will give just enough light to be able to plug stuff into the back of the PC in the dark. Another very nice addition, which shows GameMax have really thought about the user experience. However, I would like to see an off switch for these, as the light does tend to shine a little bit yellowy behind the case. Moving to the side, and we finally come to the tempered glass side panel. Now, it covers the whole of the side and only has a very light tint to it, so it's going to show off pretty much everything inside. So you better make sure your cable management from the front is on par. Now, the tempered glass is about 4mm thick and is held on by 4 thumb screws, which this time unfortunately are not captive. But they do have this little bit of rubber on the back to help with vibrations. And removing the panel reveals that GameMax have very sensibly lined the edge with a thin foam rubber, and each thumb screw area has these rubber grommets. The chassis is made from 0.9mm SPCC steel, painted black inside, and the build quality is excellent. No pesky sharp edges to spoil your fun here. There are cable management holes all around the motherboard area in all the right places, and they all have these rubber grommets installed. There's also a very large cutout on the back in order to access the backplate on your motherboard. So if you ever want to change your CPU cooler to one with a custom backplate, you won't need to remove the motherboard to do it. Now here we have a removable 5¼ inch drive bay. Now to remove this, you'll need to remove the front panel and just undo these 4 screws and it pulls free. Below that there are 10 3½ inch drive bays, all of which are removable in pairs. Now there are 6 above the PSU basement and 4 actually within the basement itself. In one of these we find the box with all the screws and stuff in. Now once you've removed the 5¼ inch cage and the top 6 3½ inch drive bays, there's an extra mount included which can be screwed in. Now this allows you to mount up to 3 120mm fans or a 360mm radiator to this part of the case, which once you do that it makes the cutouts on the back panel make perfect sense. So looking at the PSU basement, we can see that the front of it is actually open, so there's no hiding your PSU or any of those pesky cables away. Now for my test build I decided to use the GameMax RGB 550, which is a 550 watt 80 plus gold fully modular power supply. Has a nice light up logo on the side which is going to fit nicely in with the theme of the case. The PSU sits on this rail with foam padding to once again help with vibrations. Underneath there is a removable dust filter with the case lifted up off the surface of the desk with these very nice looking feet. This is going to allow air to circulate underneath and up into the power supply. Now going back to the front of the case, we can see the 3 dual ring halo RGB fans that are included, with a 4th being included as an exhaust at the rear. These fans are controlled with those sliders on the top panel, and the RGB lights up the inside of the case really well. Now the only worry I have with the fans at the front is whether they're going to be able to draw enough air through those vents at the side. Now the front of the case can take 3 120mm or 140mm fans, or up to a 360 or 420mm radiator. Now this can be up to 61mm thick as long as you remove the front of the lower drive cages first. Up top there's space for either 2 140mm fans, 3 120mm fans or a 280 or 360mm radiator. This time it's got to be a maximum thickness of 58mm. Now in terms of building in the case, there is a huge amount of room to work in, especially if you remove all of those drive cages first. There were only 6 out of the 9 motherboard standoffs installed, but it was easy enough to add the others with the supplied tool. So this is obviously a pretty big case, and it's not going to fit everybody's needs in terms of its size or, well, its price either for that matter. But for what you're paying, I'd say you do get a decent amount for your money. The build quality really is excellent, and the steel used does feel good quality and really sturdy. The design does look fantastic, especially with those light strips all going in sequence, and if you need a big case for a custom loop or a lot of storage options, I'd say it's definitely worth a look. I'd love to see GameMax do a smaller version. I mean the full E-ATX motherboard I used looked pretty small and a little bit lost in here. Now I'll probably be using this for some kind of long-term file storage PC, but what would you do in a case this size? Let me know in the comments below. So I'll leave you now with a montage of the build I did in this case, but it just remains for me to say a huge thanks to GameMax for sending this over for me to review, and I'll leave a link to the Precision in the description below. Please don't forget to use our Amazon and Overclockers links, it really does help to keep the channel going. Don't forget to give this video a like if you liked it. There's plenty more to come on the channel, including more PC builds and tech reviews. The best way to make sure you don't miss any of those is to hit that subscribe button below, and it doesn't cost a thing. So thanks for watching, and I will see you later.